If you're looking to invest in any One Piece boxes, if I'm being honest with you, you're kind of out of luck. There's practically no opportunity. There's only one box right now where I see some pretty decent opportunity, and I'll be talking about it in today's video. Previously, I talked about a couple other boxes. Now, those boxes have absolutely exploded in price. I was referencing OP09 when it was 220. I was referencing EB when it was 300. Now those boxes have well over doubled. So I'm trying to look for opportunity, and this is pretty much the last box I can realistically find. So I'll be talking about it in today's video. So it's a pretty good set, but the thing is it also has a pretty unique feature that other boxes don't have, and I think that if you buy this box, you will be ahead of the competition in the coming months. So let's talk about PRB02. So PRB02 is part of the Premium Booster series, where this is the second one. The previous one, it actually didn't get any reprints. PRB01 was just one and done. So the thing is that if you're buying a box where there's only one print wave, then you're going to be golden. Now, there's no guarantee that PRB02 won't get a second reprint, but there's a pretty solid chance that it won't, considering the fact that PRB01 didn't. So let's talk about, first of all, the qualities that this set has, the booster box price, and all those goodies, and then I'll be talking about the future of One Piece in 3 months, in 6 months. What will it be looking like holding this box versus other boxes when print waves seem to come in once One Piece kind of get their act together? If you're holding that one box that isn't going to get reprinted, you actually might be ahead of the game. So I will be talking about all of that in today's video. Let's start off with the qualities. So the booster box is $350, which is actually a really good price compared to other boxes where it's like $400 or $450, $500, $600. Other boxes are so expensive. This is a decent breath of fresh air compared to those. So $325 is going to take you a pretty long way. The set's top chase is the Sanji as a PSA 10. It is $4,000, so it's definitely above average. It's the only Sanji, and unlike some other Straw Hat Crew mangas, it actually is not like reprinted. So PRB01 kind of did damage those original mangas. They would be far more expensive than what they are now if there was no PRB01, but the Sanji has not fallen prey to that because it was released after. One of the few Straw Hat mangas that actually has experienced just one card, and that's why it is the price it is. It's $4,000 as a PSA 10 this early on is a pretty big deal. So it is also relatively difficult to pull. I know a couple rip and shippers that open up a crap ton of packs, and they have reported that this box is actually one of the harder mangas to pull out of the bunch. So you've also got that, which is an added bonus. Now it also has a really nice other card, which is the Gum Gum Giant. It's $2,500 as a PSA 10. This is one of the most expensive non-manga pullable cards. There are very few cards that reach these prices, and this is one of them. So you're investing in a set that doesn't just have a good manga, it also has a pretty decent set as well. The rest of the set is pretty solid. There's some pretty decent Luffy cards, there's a Shanks card which is pretty decent, and there's some other heat inside, but realistically it's those two, and then the Monkey D. Luffy alternate art, SP, which is also pretty solid as well. That is the third most expensive card, but the two top cards are the main highlights. Now, if sets like OP05 have taught us anything, it teaches us that you don't actually need to have a bunch of really good cards. You just need to have a couple high quality cards, and that will do the rest of the work. You don't need a whole catalog. So this pretty much ticks all the boxes for it to be a really good item to invest in. Now, I want to quickly touch on the fact that it's 20 packs. It doesn't have 24. This means nothing. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. So I don't think it having less packs realistically means anything. So like most of the time, those 4 packs would just be dead packs anyways. Like if you're going to pull a manga, it's still going to be like one per however many cases, right? I don't think those 4 packs is really going to change much. So it didn't do anything for PRB01, so I don't think it's going to do much for this either, like affecting the price. But then moving on, the set value is $8,500, which isn't really a whole ton, but most of that value is focused in the top chases. So I guess that kind of makes up for it. But yeah, overall, the set is really good. The box is really good. Now let's talk about the future of One Piece and how you can be ahead of the game if you're buying PRB02. So basically, One Piece has not experienced many reprints. OP13 did experience a second wave about 2-ish weeks after it released. However, it hasn't really gone anything since, so we're kind of just like up in the air waiting, like is Bandai going to do anything about this? Now, more than likely, they will. They're a company. They print more, they make more money. It's not in their best interest to kill the card game. It's not in their best interest to print millions and millions of every single set. Okay, fair. but it is also in their best interest to also capitalize on this. So yeah, definitely something to think about there. Bandai is very likely going to reprint a lot of these sets. However, PRBO2, provided it follows the same path that PRBO1 did, it's not going to get any reprints, which means in the future, holding sets that are either old or they won't get any reprints will have a fat premium on them. There's a reason why the EBO3 booster box has such a fat premium on it. Partly, it is a pretty good set, but also there is credit towards the fact that EBO1 and EBO2, it's literally called Extra Booster. Those don't really get reprints. Once again, the One Piece TCG is super early, so we realistically don't know 100%. In 10 years' time, if every single EB hasn't gotten a reprint, alright, yeah, it's safe to say it. But out of the two that exist, neither of them have gotten reprints, so that's why it boosts people's confidence in the third one coming out. That's why there's a fat premium on it. But when it comes to reprints, then people are going to shamble and they're going to move on to older items, or they're going to move on to boxes that don't get reprints. So we haven't really seen that premium really hit PRBO2 yet. EBO3 has already gotten that premium. EBO2 has already gotten that premium. A couple of videos ago, I was talking about EBO2. It was $320 a box. Now it's like $600 a box. So that premium just jumped onto that one. So when sets like OP13, OP09, OP11, when these sets start to experience reprints, like provided they even do, but it's a very high probability, so let's just say for the sake of the video, they all experience reprints. What will happen is that a lot of people will panic. Now, I don't think that these prices will just crash to the floor, but you would be surprised what fear can do. I don't think it would necessarily be the reprints crashing into the floor. If it does, it would be more of people dumping it quickly because they are scared that they're going to lose money. There's been a lot of L's this year that people have lost a lot of money on. A lot of people have made a lot of money, but looking at trading cards as a whole, there's been a lot of really big L's that have left a lot of people traumatized. So the last thing people want is to hop on One Piece, hop on this train, help inflate the prices, and then it starts getting reprints. They're going to dump it immediately. So yeah, that is kind of my concern with those boxes. So if you're holding something like PRBO2, there's a good chance that people are going to sell other boxes if they experience reprints and then go to PRBO2. Once again, this is all built on the theory that PRBO2 won't receive reprints. Realistically, we don't know 100%, so do take this video with a grain of salt there. But say OP09, OP13, they get reprints. OP09 is a little bit older, so it is a little bit different, but let's say for the context of OP13, it's about $520 to $550 a box. Okay, let's just say that gets a reprint and it goes straight down to $400, $350, $300, right? I'm not saying it will happen, but say it does. There's a good chance it probably will. Okay, so then what do you think is going to happen if PRBO2 isn't getting any reprints? People are then going to potentially sell some of their holdings and then stock up on items that are relatively cheap but also aren't going to get reprinted. See, that's the beauty, is like old stuff is really expensive. You can buy OPO5 if you want, you can buy OPO9 if you want, you're just paying a fat premium, but you can buy this new shiny set that is likely not going to get reprints and it's relatively cheap. And that's where I believe the appeal to PRBO2 will come. You're not just betting on this theory, you're also betting on the set as a whole. So I do think that this is definitely a good buy in my opinion. Probably the best buy there is right now. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about PRBO2. I think it's got a pretty bright future ahead of it. Having no reprints is pretty much irrelevant if everything is out of stock and if everything is selling out immediately. But in the times when we do start to experience reprints like that aftermath, I would highly recommend, if you are new to One Piece, definitely do make sure to study OPO5 when it came out. Make sure to study, take a look at it, do some research, look at some forums online, look at the price charts. You can see that once it started to tilt, it just collapsed. I'm not saying the same thing will happen with One Piece, but it also isn't a bad idea to start protecting yourself. That's why I believe we're seeing some money move into Blue Bottom. We're seeing it jump up again, and I think that's the reason why, because people are just silently locking in those older boxes because things are really, really expensive. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion there. I think that this is a great way to shield yourself, but also make good returns at the same time. So yeah, but that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your opinions in the comment section. But yeah, I will see you in the next one.